everyone, welcome to the Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted here on YouTube, and today I thought I would play with some embossed powders, but sort of work with them in a more organic, messy fashion, rather than stamping an image and embossing it. So this first technique is probably something you've done before, especially with regular ink pads, and that is to just scuff up the edges of a panel. So you've probably done this a lot to give your panels a nice distressed or vignetting kind of feel. And so all I've done is taken my clear, sticky VersaMark ink and applied it straight to these panels. And then before that ink has a chance to dry, I am pouring some embossed powders, and I love that the powders do come in this large pouch, because if your die cut's small enough, you can just dip it into the pouch. I'm using a really old, kind of inexpensive paintbrush to just knock off excess powder where I've gotten a little bit too much ink and a little bit too much powder. Once you have your embossed powder on your panels, there's no rush to heat set it, so I like to get everything prepared before I melt. And the second technique is a solution of gumarabic and water. Gumarabic is a binding agent, and I buy it in powder form and mix it with distilled water at a 1-to-1 ratio. And when I do the splatter technique, I do like to water it down a little bit so that it splatters a little bit more effectively. But because there is the gumarabic as a binding agent, again, you can set this aside, and even after it's dried, it will still hold on to your embossed powder. And now that all three of my panels are all powdered up, I do like to use these reverse tweezers because you can just set them and they pinch close in their natural state. And that way I can hold the panel a little bit further away from the heat gun. But once you melt that powder, look at that magnificent shine. This is a beautiful, beautiful gold. And here you can see how the splatter looks, and so it's just another way to play with your embossing powders and have a little bit of fun, get a little bit messy. So today I'm going to make a gatefold, but I'm going to do something a little bit extra for my gatefold, and that is I will create a locking mechanism for it. This will work for any gatefold. I happen to have this die set that will create a double gatefold where the two sort of chevron shapes at the front actually fold back on themselves, and so it's just something a little bit different, a little bit special. But the locking mechanism that I will show you will work on a standard gatefold as well. I have this really pretty handmade cotton paper in this really, really lovely green. I'm making a St. Patrick's Day card, so that's why the green and gold and black. I started to ink the edges of this paper with VersaFine Clear Nocturne ink, but it wasn't getting the black wasn't sticking to it quite as well. So then I switched over to StazOn ink, which it does work better on non-porous surfaces. So there must be something in the finish of this paper that makes it a little bit non-porous, because the StazOn ink worked much better at giving it that distressed look and toning down that green just a smidge. But because everything else on this card is going to have that very distressed edge look, I felt that these panels needed a bit of that too. So I'm going to get those glued on, and then I'll show you how to create the locking mechanism with this oval. You're going to need 2 oval die cuts, and it can be any shape, but you'll just need 2 that are the exact same shape. And besides that, you'll just need a couple of scrap pieces of paper. I've cut those scraps out of just some gray cardstock so that you can see it. Now, I did stamp the inside of my card, but I lost that footage. So here it is. I stamped with VersaColor pigment ink, which stamps beautifully. I stamped it with an acrylic block the one time and it made a perfect impression. So here are those gray scrap pieces of cardstock. They are about 1/2 inch tall and maybe about 1 inch or so wide, and I've just folded them in half. And I've sandwiched them so that they are sandwiching the gate. And I'm placing glue on just that one side that's visible and putting one of my oval on top. So here you can see we have those sort of flaps. And now what I'll do is I can just attach my second oval die cut to it, but I'm only putting glue on those gray pieces of paper. So the two ovals are not stuck together at all. Can you see that? They're only stuck to the gray folded pieces of paper. And that's how we're going to lock our gate, because one half of the gate will slot into one side and the other half of the gate will slot into the other side. And these two oval die cuts will prevent the gate from springing open. So you can see my Gatefold card in its natural state. It has that tendency to just want to open. And so that's why I find making these little locking mechanisms not only great because it's a fantastic way to have a focal image presented, but it's something fun. The locking mechanism slides right off, but honestly, if you just open it up like a regular card, it was still open as well. And so once I get this Leprechaun, which I've already stamped and colored up, I'll show you how to actually put the locking mechanism onto your gatefold. The easiest way I have found is to just slide one side of the gate in between your ovals, your two oval die cuts, and again, that could be any shape, and then slide the other. You may have to bend things a little bit, but slide the other gate between the other side. And here's a close-up look at our finished card. When the card recipient goes to open, they can either slide this right off, or honestly, they can pull it apart and open it and it won't rip. There's enough give in this particular lock anyways to where it'll open just fine. So here's how to get that lock on. And just something a little bit different and a little bit fun. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are a couple more that you might enjoy. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.